Connected cars moving target for hackers. Connected car moving targets for hackers. Traffic becomes heavy as people leave the 2020 Consumer Electronics Shows in Las Vegas, Nevada. Traffic becomes heavy as people leave the 2020 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. As cars evolved into rolling mobile computers, the potential for disastrous cyber attacks has become a new road hazard. As cars evolve into rolling mobile computers, the potential for disastrous cyber attacks has become a new road hazard. A recently cybersecurity firm, Guard Knox, demonstrated the threat in a Formula One driving simulation at the Consumer Electronics Show this week in Las Vegas. A recently cybersecurity firm, Guard Knox, demonstrated the threat in a Formula One driving simulation at the Consumer Electronics Show this week in Las Vegas. Moments into the virtual drive, a Guard Knox engineer playing the role of hacker struck and the steering wheel no longer controlled the speeding car. Moments into the virtual drive, a Guard Knox engineer playing the role of hacker struck and the steering wheels no longer controlled the speeding cars. The Fox race. The fall race was over for the driver stuck on the side of the road in a scenario that cybersecurity specialists say could become very real. Moments into the virtual drive, Guard Knox engineering playing the role of hacker struck and the steering wheel no longer controlled the speeding car. The Fox race was over the drive, stuck on the side of the road in a scenario that cybersecurity specialists say could become very real. The Fox race. The Fox. The Fox race was over for the driver stuck on the side of the road in a scenario that cybersecurity specialists say could become very real. New car models are packed with computer chips, sensors, and mobile technology that hackers could employ to sabotage systems or commandeer controls. New car models are packed with computer chips, sensors, and mobile technology that hackers could exploit to sabotage systems or commander controls. Opportunities for attacks are being revved up by the trend of self-driving electric cars communicating in real time with the cloud, smart city infrastructures, and one another. New car models are packed with computer chips, sensors, and mobile technology that hackers could exploit to sabotage systems or commander controls. Opportunities for attacks are being revved up by the trend of self-driving electric cars communicating in real time with the cloud, smart city infrastructure, and one another. Knox chief executive Mosh Siegel gave an example of a hacker remotely taking control of a fuel tanker trunk, sending it to crash into a building. Knox chief executive Mosh Siegel gave an example of a hacker remotely taking control of a fuel tanker trunk, sending it to crash into a building. It's September 11 on wheels, Shelley said in an interview at CES. Cybersecurity has become as integral to vehicle engineering as crash safety and fuel efficiency, according to Henry Benth, a former member of the Council for Automobile Cybersecurity, who spoke at the Las Vegas events. Connectivity is the reason why this is happening, Bates said. Now, all elements have to be designed with cybersecurity in mind. Cybersecurity has become as integral to vehicle engineering as crash safety and fuel efficiency, according to Harry Bates, a former member of the Council for Automobile Cybersecurity, who spoke at the Las Vegas event. Connective is the reason why this is happening, Bates said. Now, all elements have to design with cybersecurity in mind. Anything is possible. A recently startup upstream logged more than 150 cybersecurity incidents involving automobiles last year, twice as many as in 2018. A recently startup upstreaming logged more than 150 cybersecurity incidents involving automobiles last year, twice as many as in 2018. The majority of those hacks involved remotely car door locks, but an increasing number targeted software applications or connection to the cloud. The majority of those hacks involve remotely car door locks, but an increasing number targeted software application or connections to the cloud. Last year in Chicago, dozens of luxury cars were stolen by hacking Daimler's Car2Go app. Last year in Chicago, dozens of luxury cars were stolen by hacking Daimler's Car2Go app. The ultimate worst-case scenario would be if somebody applies one of the car functions when it's not supposed to do that, and does that across multiple vehicles, said Upstream Vice President Dan Sanher. The ultimate worst-case scenario would be if somebody applies one of the car functions when it's not supposed to do that, and does that across multiple vehicles, said Upstream Vice President Dan Shah. For example, someone hits the brakes on all vehicles of the specific model at the same time. That would be catastrophic. The ultimate worst-case scenario would be if somebody applies one of the car functions when it's not supposed to do that, and does that across multiple vehicles, said Upstream Vice President Dan Saha. For example, someone hits the brakes on all vehicles of a specific model at the same time. That would be catastrophic. Since cars in model lines share engineering specification, they share system vulnerability by design. Since cars in model lines share engineering specification, they share system vulnerability by design. If you can design an attack and execute on it on a computer and that computer is attached to a car. Anything is possible, said Ralph Achmenda, expert in cybersecurity and self-described ethical hacker. If you can design an attack and execute it on a computer, and that computer is attached to a car, anything is possible, said Ralph Achmeda, expert in cybersecurity and self-described ethical hacker. 5 years ago, a pair of cybersecurity researchers remotely commandeered the controls of a Jeep Cherokee by taking advantage of a vulnerability in its infotainment system, triggering a recall of a vehicle. Never-ending battle. Car makers have responded to the menace by offering bounties for vulnerability found by researchers and paying partners to build security into components. Car makers have responded to the menace by offering bounties for vulnerabilities found by researchers and paying partners to build security into components. Upstream collects data shared to the cloud by vehicles, storing it in real time for scouring it in real time for strange activity that could signal hackers are up to no good. God Knox engineers draw on their experience in the Israeli Air Force to design a processor that protects computer in vehicles and also serves as a secure operating system. God Knox engineers draw on their experience in the Israeli Air Force to design a processor that protects computers in vehicles and also serves as a secure operating system. As in the world of smartphones and desktop computing, hackers relentlessly seek ways to infiltrate new software or features in automobile in an ever-escalating battle with Defender. In the world of smartphones and desktop computing, hackers relentlessly seek ways to infiltrate new software or features in automobile in an ever-escalating battle with defenders. 刘静文，你的英语还不发声？你说了3遍立刻了。Explainer, not all cyber threats equally worrisome. Explainer, not all cyber threats equally worrisome. This Saturday, October 7th, 2017, file photo shows a polling place at Southside Elementary in Huntington, WY state election officials in at least 24 states, including West Virginia, have seen suspicious cyber activity in the first half of January 2020, although it's unclear who was behind the efforts and no major problems were reported. This Saturday, October 7th, 2017, File photo shows a polling place at Southside Elementary in Huntington. WY state election official in at least 24 states, including West Virginia, have seen severe suspicious cyber activity in the first half of January 2020. Although it's unclear who was behind the efforts and no major problems were reported. West Virginia reported unusual cyber-active targeting its election systems. The Texas governor said the state was encountering attempt attack at the rate of 10,000 times a minute from Iran. Information technology staff in Las Vegas responded to an intrusion, though the city says no data was stolen. West Virginia reported unusual cyber activity targeting its election system. The Texas governor said the state was encountering attempt attacks at a rate of 10,000 times a minute from Iran. Information technology staff in Las Vegas responded to an intrusion, though the city says no data was stolen. All told, state election officials in at least 24 states saw suspicious cyber activity last week, although it's unclear who was behind the efforts and no major problems were reported. All told, state election officials in at least 24 states saw suspicious cyber activity last week, although it's unclear who was behind the efforts and no major problems were reported. Long before a targeted U.S. strike killed a top Iran general, there were already concerns about foreign efforts to hack American institutions and its elections. The conflict with Iran has only exacerbated those fears. Exacerbate. Long before targeted U.S. strike killed a top Iran general, there were already concerns about foreign efforts to hack American institutions and its elections. The conflict with Iran has only exacerbated those fears. Years as the recent spate of reports make clear, not all suspicious cyber activity are equally troublesome. The work of a foreign government or a precursor to the type of Russia interference seen in the 2016 election on behalf of President Donald Trump. Yet, as recent spate of reports makes clear, not all suspicious cyber activities are equally troublesome. The work of a foreign government or a precursor to the type of Russia interference seen in the 2016 election on behalf of President Donald Trump. A look at what kind of cyber activities are worrisome and what are not. What sort of activity is this? What sort of activity is this? Generally speaking, what the state are reporting are efforts to probe their networks for vulnerabilities or weaknesses that can be exploited for potential intrusion. Generally speaking, what the states are reporting are efforts to probe their networks for vulnerability or weaknesses that can be exploited for potential intrusion. Think of it in the real world as a bank robber walking by a bank. First thing they are going to do is case the joint, and the same thing happens in the digital space, said former FBI agent Anthony Fahrenheit, who served as director for cyber incident response at the White House National Security Council. Council. Think of it in the real world as a bank robber walking by a bank. First thing they are going to do is case the joint. And the same thing happens in the digital space. And the same thing happens in the digital space, said former FBI agent Anthony Fahrenheit, who served as director for cyber incident response at the White House National Security Council. The culprits are doing the cyber equivalent of wiggling a dog knob, said Fahrenheit, the global leader of the cybersecurity practice at FTI Consulting. The culprits are doing the cyber equivalent of wiggling a doorknob, said Fahrenheit, the global leader of the cybersecurity practice at FTI Consulting, FTI, scanning for network vulnerabilities is remarkably common. In fact, federal officials believe election officials in all 50 states were probably targeted during the 2016 election, though the number of known breaches, including in Illinois and 2 counties in Florida, was significantly more modest. A Senate Intelligence Committee report found no evidence that votes or voting registration systems were alerted. Scanning for network vulnerabilities is remarkably common. In fact, federal officials believe election officials in all 50 states were probably targeted during the 2016 election, though the number of known breaches, including in Illinois and 2 counties in Florida, was significantly more modest. A Senate Intelligence Committee report found no evidence that votes or voting registration systems were altered. Is the activity worrisome? It can be to the extent that it demonstrates that a hacker has set his sight on exploring and possibly returning to a particular network, and especially if a target is part of a country's critical infrastructure. It can be to the extent that it demonstrates that a hacker has set his sights on exploring and possibly returning to a particular network, and especially if a target is part of the country's critical infrastructure. It can be to the extent that it demonstrates that a hacker has set his sight on exploring a particular network, especially if a target is part of the country's critical infrastructure. Much depends as well on the volume and frequency, since repeated unwanted contact with the website can overwhelm an internet-connected server, effectively shutting it down into what is known as a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack. Much depends as well on the volume and frequency. Much depends as well on the volume and frequency, since repeated unwanted contact with a website can overwhelm an internet-connected server, effectively shutting it down in what is known as a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack. Much depends as well on the volume and frequency, since repeated unwanted contact with a website can overwhelm an internet-connected server, effectively shutting it down in what is known as a distributed denial of service. Or DDoS attack. In general, though, when it comes to poking around a network, I would certainly put it in a less severe category of threat activity than, say, an intrusion, said Luke McNamara, a principal analyst at FireEye Intelligence, a cybersecurity firm. It's certainly not evidence that an intrusion has taken place or that they've been compromised, he added. In general, though, when it comes to poking around a network, I would certainly put it in a less severe category of threat activity than, say, an intrusion, said Luke McNamara, a principal analyst at FireEye Intelligence, a cybersecurity firm. It's certainly not evidence that an intrusion has taken place or that they've been compromised, he added.